we're going to SSH from the client PC into our switch, and also we're going to actually we're going to do it from this client PC into this switch, and we're also going to do it from switch to switch using these two switches. I've got these switches that are 3560 24 port switches, and I've got a PC here that we're going to use for a console connection into the switch. So we'll start off by getting a console cable and connecting it to this PC, and then connecting it into the switch to the console port, right? So now we can console into the switch. So I'll go to desktop, terminal. You can see the settings here are already set for consoling in, and the switch is blank. It doesn't have any configuration on it. Now the text here is pretty small, so I'm going to switch from configuring the switch here in the terminal, right, through the PC, to just clicking on the switch so it looks bigger on screen. All right, so I'll do that. So I'm going to do that, and just so it looks bigger on screen. So I'll click command line interface, and we'll just configure it here. All right. So, all right, I'm in the switch. I'm going to type enable, and now I'm in privileged user mode, and then I'll type configure terminal to get into global config mode. And the first thing I'm going to do is set up the enable secret password. So enable secret, and I'll type it in as Cisco. All right, so now there's enable password on the switch. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do Control C, go back to privileged exec mode, and do a show VLAN. Okay, when I do a show VLAN, it'll show us the VLANs on the switch, and you'll see here that VLAN 1 is the default VLAN. You cannot get rid of VLAN 1. You can't erase VLAN 1 or delete VLAN 1. You can see that it's active, it's default, and all of the ports on the switch right now belong to VLAN 1, right? So it's the default VLAN. So if you were just to plug this switch in out of the box and start plugging these computers into this switch, all of these computers by default would be on VLAN 1, and they would all be able to communicate with each other if they were on the same, if they had the same addressing scheme, right? If they were all like 192.168.1 addresses, all of these PCs could talk to each other by plugging into this switch just by default, right? They could have a LAN party on VLAN 1, right? And so, but in this tutorial, what we're going to do is we're going to try to set up secure access with SSH so that this PC can SSH, not Telnet, but SSH into the switch. And one thing we can do with that is, for a level of security, is try to set that up to happen on VLAN, let's say 99, or some other VLAN number, so that it's not part of VLAN 1. And that'll give us a little small added bit of security, because then these PCs would not be able to SSH into the switch. Only a computer or another network device that's on the management VLAN, or in this case we'll say it's going to be VLAN 99, right? So that we'll use that as a management VLAN, so that only computers on that VLAN can connect into the switch to manage the switch. All right. So to do that, what we'll do is we will say, okay, conf t to get to global config mode, and then what I'm going to say is VLAN 99, right? And now it switches into config VLAN mode, and now I can say name equals namespace, and I'll say MGT, right? So now I've just created VLAN 99, and I've given it the name management. Now, if I do a show VLAN, you'll see that we have the VLAN 99 is the management VLAN, but it's not assigned any ports on the switch. So we've created the VLAN, we've given it the name management, and now we need to assign a port to it that can be part of VLAN 99, and then we'll connect this PC to that port, right? So we'll do that. We'll say, all right, we've got our prompt here. I'm going to do a conf t for configure terminal again to go to global config mode. Type in interface, FA for fast Ethernet, FA 0/24 for port 24. All right, and I'm going to type in SW tab switch port mode access to make it an access mode port, and then I'll type in SW tab switch port access VLAN 99. Okay, so I've just gone into interface port 24, turned it to an access port, and made it part of VLAN 99. So now what we can do is, if we plug this PC, I'll just get a straight through cable here to Ethernet, and I'm going to want to connect it to the switch on port 24, because port 24 now is part of VLAN 99. Now, not only that, we also need to make this switch give it an IP address, and we're going to give it an address 192.168.99 for the management network here. We'll call it 99 since it's VLAN 99, and we'll make it host 2 since the router might be host 1, so we'll set it to host 2. And we're going to have to set an IP address for this switch, so we got to do that too, right? So go back to the switch, right? Control C. I'm going to do a conf t again to go global config mode. I'm going to change the host name to switch 1, right? And then we need to set up the IP address. For the IP address, I'm going to put the IP address onto a virtual interface. So I'll say interface VLAN 99, right, which creates a virtual interface called VLAN 99. It's not an actual port on the switch, it's a virtual interface. And then I'm going to say now I'm in interface configuration mode for interface VLAN 99, and then I'll say IP address 192.168.99.2, and then I need to give it a subnet mask. Okay, and then I'll do a no shut, no space shut, see that, or for no shutdown. All right, and now I'll do Control C, copy running config to startup config, copy run start, save your configuration, do a show run, and you can see that interface fast Ethernet port 24 has been set to VLAN 99. It's an access port as opposed to a trunk port, which we'll be learning about in the curriculum. And you can also see that we've also set up a virtual interface called interface VLAN 99. Notice there was one built for VLAN 1, interface VLAN 1, no IP address, but we have the IP address on interface VLAN 99. Okay, and this IP address is going to make it so that we could telnet into the switch, or we can, in this case, in this lab, we really want to SSH connect into the switch, right? So we need an IP address to connect into, right? The switch by default does not have an IP address, so we had to give it an IP address, and we decided to give it to it on a virtual interface. So these are the commands that we've put in so far. You can see here I've given this PC the address 192.168.1.100 because let's say it's going to be on VLAN 1 and it's connected to the ports that are on VLAN 1. So if I was to try to ping the switch at 192.168.99.2, you'll see that it doesn't work, right? You can't successfully ping the switch, right? Well, That's because if this is on the one network, right, these hosts that are on VLAN 1 ports are not going to be able to communicate with a host on a VLAN port separately with the VLAN 99 port. So the VLAN 99 port and the VLAN 1 ports might as well be on separate switches. They're not going to be able to communicate with each other unless you have a router, right? So anyway, let's set up this PC. So we set up this PC right here. Go to IP configuration and say 192.168.99.100. Set the subnet mask. Let's pretend like there's a router, even though there's not. Right? Close that off. Right, so now he's got that set up, and let's see if he can ping the switch. Right? Ping 192.168.99.2, and you can see that he can ping the switch. So connected to the 99 VLAN, and interface VLAN 99 is on the 99 network, and so 99.100 can communicate with 99.2, but 1.100 cannot communicate with 99.2, at least not right now and not without a router. So only this PC will be able to telnet or secure shell into the switch, because these PCs are not able to see this switch's IP address.